It's talking about how we use the process, the content factory, to put together our content library. And the content factory is the process going through these 4 phases. The content library is the library, right? The workers in the factories produce items. You can see the 4 stages, all this raw material, even like the interview I had today, that's still stuff that we can cut up and use in different places. In the process, you'll see that we document how we do everything, even inside the training itself. The content library has these different tabs. And here's the different tabs, how we're repurposing items. And as we repurpose, we're keeping in mind the topic wheel, the 6 topics that we have. And when people mention it, or you mention it on stage, or someone talks about it, we can amplify that particular topic, like regenerative medicine or NAD plus, or whatever it might be, among anywhere that's ever been said on any channel. And that allows us to build our 3x3, which is really just the funnel. The topic wheel is the 3x3. It's just it's an onion. It's the funnel wrapped in a circle, right? Outside, middle, inside, right? We have a lot of articles, and you can see that some of these articles were the paid articles, and some of them just happen naturally. The natural ones, which are repurposed off of legit content, do a lot better from an SEO organic standpoint, especially if they're repurposed from video, because then the articles have videos on them. Same thing for these other components. So we'll be able to see these here. Each of these articles that we have scored. So there's not just the domain rating, which is like saying Forbes Inc. Entrepreneur, those are good, but is there actually any power to the article itself? And whenever we see like a 0, that's usually Google's sign saying they know it's a paid article. It's not like Google's dumb, they know. So we could take any one of these and let's go, which one do you want to look at? Okay. Franchise Times. Okay. Let's go to this one. Now, most people that are clients, they might look at this and say, okay, this Dave Asprey, and let's see, where's the mention of us? Articles, when they're organic and real, you can't make the whole thing. Oh, Jim Donnelly. You can't.
Dave Asprey's the guy behind Bulletproof Coffee and everything.
That's right. Yeah. And they have a great relationship, obviously. Right. Donnelly, Restore. Okay, here, Liquid Vita. So this is what's called a listicle, where there are multiple folks in here. So the power of a listicle, like we said, the pro and con is it looks like it's objective, but also we're sharing the juice. Now this one, I'm using Ahrefs because it's a better auditing tool. This Franchise Times is highly relevant, obviously, and it's got a lot of traffic, and it's got a lot of authority. So anyone with a domain rating of basically 60 plus is high authority. Blitzmetrics is like a 62. And free ebooks is, I think, 74, also just like Franchise Times. And 60,000 backlinks, that's pretty legit. From 5,000 referring domains. So at the domain level, this is a powerful domain. The page level, the page doesn't have as much juice as the overall site because it's a couple links away from the homepage. Every link away is an order of magnitude. And every 10 points down is an order of magnitude. So a 64 is not slightly weaker than a 74. It's basically 10 times weaker. It's like the Richter scale for earthquakes, right? Okay. So this page, this URL rating of an 8 is not necessarily bad. I would hope that if there are more links, there's only 17 links to this page, mostly internal links. But let's say that this was such a good article because it talked about you, or we link to it, or it gets picked up to the media, or whatever it is, that all these people in the media link to this page. Then this page rating goes up. The number of backlinks to this page goes up instead of having internal backlinks. Overall, there's 56,000 backlinks on the site. And this particular page ranks on 48 keywords, even though the site ranks on 48,000. So here's the 48 keywords that this web page ranks for in the first 100 position, which means first 100 positions, first 10 pages. Testosterone clinic franchise, keyword difficulty 2, very easy. Anything grains, very easy. We can get those all day long. Position 10, bottom of the first page. So we're getting 4. This link, not us. This page is getting 4 visits out of the 150 that search on this because it's in position 10. Does that make sense so far?
Okay.
All right. And this one, European Wax Center, Lake Nona. Maybe Lake Nona is somewhere mentioned in here. Who knows? No difficulty, 100 people searching. We're in position 26. The joke in SEO is, where do you hide a dead body? Second page of Google. So page 2.5, page 3 is position 26. So 23, 0, 0. These are all zeros because they're not in the first. You basically have to be in the first 10 positions. We go to 100. Like this one, this page, Dave Asprey testosterone flipped from 22 to 30. This is called the Google dance when things move up and down. It's like the stock market. Your stock like constantly goes up and down. Doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's like noisy. And then as we go further, we're in lower positions and some of these are new. And basically after this, even though there's 46, there's really only one or two ordered by traffic. In fact, there's only one here that's worth anything. Testosterone clinic franchise and any variation of that. Clinic for doing testosterone. There's all kinds of variations, but basically this on Broadmatch is the one that's, for whatever reason, Google says it is worthwhile. And so it's just because there's not more search traffic in Google doesn't mean that this article isn't getting traffic from an email newsletter or from social media or from ads or PR or whatever. There's all kinds of ways that this thing could get traffic, but from Google, there is no other traffic coming to this webpage except from people typing in testosterone clinic franchise, and there's 4 of them per month. Well, I went really fast here just to break down what is the traffic power of this article. So the risk, which happens 99% of the time in PR, is they get an article out there, whether it's a paid article or not, and because there's no SEO power against it, this is actually not bad. They're not just zeros. If it's all zeros, then it's like Google saying, hey, it's not worth anything. But it could be worth something if we run traffic to it. But a lot of PR agencies will say, oh, look, we got you an entrepreneur, Forbes. We paid some guy $1,000 to do this one thing and this other thing. And that's just not worth anything. So you can very quickly tell whether it's paid or not, just like Google can tell. And so we took these metrics here and scored. Yeah. And so we will get out hundreds of these. And I'll show you some of them that we're using PR distribution. And the thing is, when we have lots of articles, they don't all perform the same. There's always one that's a winner. And we got to sift through the needle in the haystack to find that winner. And it's okay if this one, let's say this is a winner, but it doesn't really feature us. That's okay. It's still, of course, ones that feature us, we want to put more against. The more you do that, the less likely, unless you were the center of the news, the less likely we're going to be getting the
Yeah, that one's more of a mention of anything else. Yeah.
Now look here, Sam, this site, I don't want to get to some people. So you've got friends where they just obsess about the number of horsepower the car has, as opposed to how well it handles and other things besides just the horsepower. They're just obsessed, like how many watts the stereo has or something. So in the same way, SEO people like to obsess about the domain rating. It's one of many factors. It's not the only thing, but look, 89, 12.2 million backlinks, 31 million monthly search traffic. So the site, and of course, Elle is an actual magazine, not just some website. So there's more power than you see just on the online component. And of course, that flows down to the page. Now, the page doesn't have a high URL rating, but because there's so many other backlinks, we're ranking, not sorry, I keep saying we because normally we're auditing our own sites. This web page ranks on 147 keywords. Of the people that do come to this, they will see us as a mention, like you said, among all these other people. Right. So this is still good. And there's art and science here. So I would look at this article and say, we had a mention. I would maybe say, and forget about whether it's positive or negative, but I would say that's worth maybe 3%, maybe 5% of the power of if the whole thing was a feature on us. And I'm not saying we only want features on us, but it's not worth as much when we get a mention, right? We have multiple mentions. If half the article's about us, so we assign a percentage, I'd say like 3% of this article can be tied to us. So 3% of the amount of juice that comes here, 3% of the amount of traffic is about what I would ascribe to this article, right? That way it's a level playing field. So if we have 5 articles, 6 articles that have a couple mentions, that's probably almost as good as a feature article. If the articles themselves are the same power. Okay. So we can use the same kind of grading on any kind of content we have, not just from a search engine standpoint, but from social media. So articles can be chopped up into mentions. They can be chopped up into social media snippets. They can chopped up we can push it out in all these other places. So the fact that we have the 2 days of speaking from Ivy Biz Bash, the panel, as well as you speaking solo, is stuff that like your TikTok, we're repurposing into Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can see anything can be repurposed. Any article, let's say the Elle article was one that we really liked. We looked at all the stats. We wanted that. We could repurpose that. And that's the whole point of $1 a day, right? But
Right.
when we have the ones like when I followed you around with iPhone and captured these different moments, we then are editing inside our favorite tool called Descript, which is the Swiss Army knife. And you'll see that some of these are 20 seconds, a minute. So you can see that's just an example of one of them that's repurposed. This one's square, so it'll work on Instagram. The ones that are taller will be like a Facebook story, a TikTok, rectangular works on YouTube, Twitter. These are aimed at both a franchise and a B2C audience. And both of them work together depending. So the ending bumper, you'll see we are changing whether we think it's going to be more franchise or B2C. Let's talk franchising, right? Now we could take this, actually not this one, but we could take one of these other ones where we're interviewing these other people and they're talking about IV therapy or talking about glutathione or we could then have a closing bumper that's for that particular location at the end. So if we're targeting Fort Lauderdale, Fort Lauderdale, whatever the city is. So these can be reused and cut up many different ways. So you can see there's so many of these here that we are tracking at different stages. Long form basically chopped up into lots of different pieces. And I really like long form because just like when you and Warren are going to talk next week, might be in a 45-minute or an hour-long conversation, we'll probably get 10 nuggets out of that. Because most people are not going to watch a whole thing. They're just not. So then of these pieces that are out here, and I know like Emmanuel wanted certain more promotional pieces to be boosted, which we can, they tend to not perform as well. So there's kind of like a trade-off on, I totally get we want to be pushing stuff, but we also have to be doing stuff that's mid-funnel and educational. Because if it's just purely promotional, it just doesn't look as good. Until you're like so well known that you don't need to, people don't know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can see here, we are constantly testing and saying what is working the best and why. So the whole point of MAA, which is called Metrics Analysis Action, is let's look at what's working. Let's understand why. Let's make adjustments and let's just continue to test and see what else is going on. Is it the audience size? Is it what we're saying? Is it is it the music? Is it the budget's not right? Is it like, there's all kinds of things. And I think with advertising $1 a day is that because there's so many combinations of things, like it's hard to get the right combo. So you have to keep testing all these different combinations.
Right.
A lot of people get the idea like, oh, you just run an ad and we're done. No, you have to test. And sometimes like you look at something that you think would do well, and then you're like, geez, we spent $60, which is not a lot of money. 3,000 people saw it, but only 5 people clicked on it. So we ended our effective cost per click was $12. But if $12 results in an actual franchise, then it's worth it. But generally $12 for a click, that means something's wrong. And the other way to look at it too, for example, is if we spent $60 and we had 3,000 impressions, then, this is LinkedIn. So that means that LinkedIn is charging us $20 for every 1,000 times we show the message, which is a 20-cent CPM. That's basically LinkedIn giving us a penalty saying, yeah, we'll take your money, but we think your quality is low. And when your click-through rate is low, they jack up not only the base price of what you pay, but your effective CPC, which is your base price times your or divided by your click-through rate. That's just the math of it is higher. So low click-through rate, low relevancy creates low click-through rate, which causes your CPM to go up, which then does this multiplier on increasing your cost per click. So when we see stuff like, this is not an alarm, but it's not like we have a disaster. I mean, we spent $60. So we're constantly spending $50, spending $100, and this is just what it is. And 95% of the time, what we're going to put out there is just not going to work. And it's not because we suck. It's because we're just testing, right? This is $9 and other stuff this was 63 cents. And then it's like, why is this one 63 cents? And why is this? Then we have to do a little Sherlock Holmes to figure out what's going on, right? Maybe the audience was too big. Maybe there's something wrong with the way we edited it. Maybe the initial hook wasn't right. Maybe it was all kinds of stuff. So it's not some mechanical thing. We have to look at the content. So the beauty of a direct-to-consumer, come in for a Groupon, whatever, like you can measure that, right? It's very easy. But building relationships with the media, especially B2B stuff, it just takes a little longer, right? So that's why I really like here, this first tab on positive mentions. We don't have many of them, but we need to get more of these. But the more of these we have, and I don't know if we've done this yet, but Warren and Sonic, correct me if we have or not. But if I look at this one and somebody said something good about us, whether it's on their profile or ours, well, that's good. And so a couple thousand people have liked it a day ago. Wow. Okay. then
great.
why wouldn't we, unless this influencer doesn't allow it? I believe in just ask for forgiveness instead of permission when it comes to influencers. If someone says something good about us, let's just, wow, thank you so much, Rachel, for this. Congratulations to Rachel. She's looking so beautiful. I don't know, just like something complimentary that strokes their ego. I would take this and I would repurpose it to all these other channels. If we don't have, I think we touched on it, but I would recommend having a gifting program. And it doesn't mean spending a lot of money. Mainly just acknowledging them, sending them something nice that's personalized. It doesn't have to be the socks, just like whatever. My favorite thing this year is sending out Oreo cookies that are personalized to their face and to their logo, right? Just to keep it going, because normally people will say more things. So what we want to do is part of the factory is whenever these new things come in this first stage, we want to process it. So we see that mention come in, like here off a social media post, review, testimonial, whatever. We want to process it to be able to then repurpose it on multiple channels. So why wouldn't we take a screenshot of that and post it on GMB? Why wouldn't we repost it to YouTube Shorts? Why wouldn't we include it in a reel of our highlights? Why wouldn't we share it with the Fort Lauderdale location?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just Fort Lauderdale, but the whole point of repurposing is something good happens. Let's use it as many other ways as we can. It's not just PR mentions. Yeah. So it's not just with influencers, it's with customers, with the partners. The whole show gratitude, elevate them, stroke their ego is the best marketing technique on the planet. So when we look at this, look at YouTube, you'll see that some of these get more views than others. And then the question is, why is that? So the idea of analysis is not just to generate a report to say this one video got more than the other. It's to learn from it so we can continue to iterate. If we look at this, I would say this is okay, but this looks like one of those explainer videos you get on Fiverr for $20. Whenever I see 22,000 views and no comments and only 7 likes, you either bought the traffic. You can go to these bot farms and buy stuff like this for $10. Where, like on Fiverr, you can get this thing made and you can get a bunch of fake views. If we know how to do MAA, we're not going to be fooled by saying, hey, of all these videos, this one is the best because it had 22,000 views. These views aren't worth anything because they didn't drive any engagement. It's a low quality signal. Right. Then I look at the other chat, I look across the channel. These things didn't get any views, but that's because we have 156 subscribers. So it's the chicken and egg here. So the way to get around that, same thing like on Twitter, Facebook, anything on social, pay to play for the traffic. So with the exception of TikTok. So we would want to run ads to anyone who, on YouTube's part of Google. So we can take any of these ones, just like here at the conference. And we can target people who attend A4M. We can target people who have IV therapy clinics. We can target any channel. We can target a keyword. We can target a person. We can look at Dave Asprey. And I can target any video of his. I know his is more like a B2C standpoint, right? But if there's one video about franchising or about IV or about whatever, I can target anyone who's watched that video. NAD therapy. Okay. Whatever it is, right? Tom Bilyeu. Okay. Because on YouTube, there's 5 ways to target. I can target by the video. I can target by the channel. I can target by the keyword. I can target by the category, and I can target by retargeting, right? So all of these are possible. We just have to have that either as targeting, or we have to have some kind of video where we can just retarget against our own video. And these are all different, right? Anyway. But like here is the same thing, like 1,500 views 4 years ago. The beauty is you can take a video like this. So I'm just going to play the first few seconds and then I'll talk about what we need to do and then how it fits into the content factory and our own process. So this is great because there's the whole like cool club music as she's walking through. But what if we took this video and say, and there's the voiceover, what are the benefits of Liquavita? This is an integrated full service lounge. And people feel like they're walking into, imagine there's that voiceover on top of this. Doesn't mean this video sucks. It just means whoever made this on Fiverr never got around to actually make it. It's just, most of the video editors, they don't even speak English. They don't understand that we have a business purpose for doing this. Or maybe this is consumer oriented, right? Maybe we'll check at the end and see what the thing is here. The beauty of repurposing, this is the whole content factory is about repurposing stuff. So we can take these old YouTube videos and reprocess them and then take snippets of them and put them on social media, turn them into articles. There's no article to be had from this because no one said anything, but there's snippets here that we can pull. And so, for example, we could take audio, Sam, from you talking, and there's nothing wrong with you talking. Here, we've got the raw video here. People, they lose attention when they're just like watching some guy talk. So we have you talking, put that voiceover on top of some of these other videos. And now we have something that we can use in many different places. Yeah. Like this is great B-roll when you see procedures being done. And so this is why we have Sana and Ollie and the rest of the team to be able to, because they have to understand our goals, content, and targeting our strategy well enough to be able to combine other ingredients. We need smart cooks basically to combine these different ingredients in a smart way. And so this process of dividing into 4 stages allows us to do that. That way, all you have to do, just collect all this stuff for us, put it here in these folders that we can access. And then the other 3 stages we take care of. You understand processing, you understand posting it to multiple channels, which is the reason why we process is each of these channels is a slightly different requirement. Like here, look at all these things where all these people have said all these great things about us. And we have the URLs to them. Like here on Facebook, let's just click on this one. This is great. So Anna, good treatment. And then, wow, I brought my husband who could walk with, okay, wow, that's amazing. And Dr. Davis told me a story about a guy who had Parkinson's and he did glutathione. And it was this life-changing experience. And I thought, I've never heard that before. So this was whatever, a few months ago. But if this were 99% of any other clinics or any other brands, something like this happens and then it just disappears in the whole, like on the stream of social media, it's gone, right? Usually 2 days later, it's disappeared and we'll never see it again. But something like this, I would do this. I would say, screenshot that. And I go to Twitter. I'm being a VA for a second. Okay. This is what VAs are supposed to do, but I'm just going to do it for the fun of it. When you have clients saying this about your service, they are doing your marketing for you. Okay. But if I said this as Sam or as Liquid Vita, I'd say, wow, Anna, thank you so much. I'm so glad you came in, or I'm so glad you and your husband came in. That just said very lightweight. Thank you. Right. I'd post that on GMB. I'd post it on all these other channels. And that's purely repurposing.
Right.
Let's see. Do we have, hey, Sana, in the content library, Warren, do we have all the PR, the signal genesis redistribution in here?
No, they hadn't been doing that. So we've just set that up. So we'll be getting some soon.
So we want to take a press release like this. And just for fun, I wrote one, and this is how one man is lifting Pakistanis out of poverty by turning them into virtual experts. So we're hiring VAs, okay? So if you do a search on it, on how is one man doing this, you see all these articles, Market Watch, Benzinga, this is a Fox Syndicate, WICZ, all these other places, right? This has some SEO power, right? There's 3 million of these, right? It's through syndication. And then we see where it's being picked up, right? Click on any one of them. There's one you want to see, I'll click on it. These are basically CBS, Fox, ABC syndicates. And a lot of these are Google News sites as well. So that's what helps us more on the SEO than the whole like vanity PR thing. And so something like this basically costs us between $50 and $100 to get it done. And I think there's 250, 300, I don't know, there's 11 pages of these, okay? So what the unscrupulous PR companies will say is, hey, we got an article about how Sam Tejada started with Liquid Vita and look, and he got on all these big places. Look, Fox 28, Fox this, like here it is. Here's a Fox News thing. And if you look at it, you might say, and then they might argue, Panama City, you might argue this and say, look, it's actually a legit news site. Look, it's a DR72, right? That looks legit, right? It's a freaking Fox station. This is a legitimate news station in Panama City. They know who this is, right? And here's this whole article about how Dennis Yu does all these things and it looks legit, right? And there's the website and all that, right? So you might look at this and say, so the PR company will say, look, oh yeah, you want to argue SEO? Well, this website is a legitimate Fox syndicate. It's a DR72, right? But the people who actually know SEO are going to look at this and say 0000. I got you on Fox, right? Sam, I got you on Fox. 00000. And that's what I was saying before. This is paid media. This is a press release distribution. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying recognize the value of it relative to all this other stuff. This is less than $100 to get this done. So the syndication or paying to show up in these other places is not the same thing as like actually being on Forbes. So my buddy Shep Hyken called me an hour ago. I was in a bath. And this is an actual Forbes article. Your Business's Guide to TikTok Marketing by Shep Hyken, who's paid by Forbes, not paid by me. Oh, shoot.
Now, Dennis, I've
Blah,
seen
blah, blah.
some guys, some PR guys where you do the pay for play thing, even with Forbes. Is that something different than this one that
Yeah.
you're talking?
This is what I'm showing you here is legit news media. The stuff that Gavin and these other companies are pitching, they are paying off some journalist like $1,000 or $2,000. And then those are all going to be DR0. So all the ones that Gavin got, I love the kid to death, but he doesn't have any connections in the media. He pretends he does. He's just paying a few people that are well-known that you can under the table just pay them. My connections are all actual connections. So if we want to put up something like Warren's my business partner. So if we want to put up something on one of these sites, we can because we are friends. And then we come in here and look at this is WordPress, which is great. But look, if we look at the stats here, DR74, 8.5 million backlinks. All legit. This is legit. What we want to see, it's okay to have some paid media, but we want to have some earned media. So like this one here, this is actually New York's Marketing Association. This is a real organization. People pay money to come to these things. And they're featuring this. You can't pay for stuff like this, right? So here's what we want to do. Whenever you have speaking and real media, this is what I showed you like a few months ago, like real connections, like these ones. I know all of these people. For real, I know them. Not like I paid to meet them at a conference and took a picture with them. I actually have dinner with them. I hang out with them. I know these people. Then we have, like, these are real podcasts. These are not ones that I paid for. None of this media is paid for. None of this speaking, none of the press, I'm paid to speak at these conferences, right? People buy my book. This is all legitimate public speaking. There's a media kit. We redid your media kit. This is real speaking, right? Being on TV. This is live in front of 3.5 million people on CNN. People are boarding planes and they're saying, Dennis, I looked up, I was boarding the plane and I saw you on the TV. You're arguing with Mark Zuckerberg. Why are you guys arguing? My flight was taken off, so I didn't get to see you guys. You're talking about something. He looked mad. So like this is real, right? So what I want for you, Sam, is stuff that's real. I don't want this. Yes, we'll put out some of this just because it helps by generating some signals from an SEO standpoint. But what I absolutely do not want is vanity PR is just bullshit. Now, I'm not saying don't syndicate. We have our own syndication engine that does this. We'll do it. We'll take any article and then we'll syndicate it. But I don't want to confuse people to say, just because we had syndication inside Digital Journal, and Digital Journal is 84? What is it? It's high. 87. But look, 00000, right? So when we go to your content library and we look at the articles, pretty much all the ones are close to zero, except for some of the ones you had from the other PR agency or maybe some earned media. So the fact there's no traffic off of these is the zeros here are, it's a signal that's been paid for. Because Google knows it's paid for. That's why it's a zero. They catch it. Look at all these people here. Vita Day. Look at you. Okay. So all of this is inside the content library. And then of course we have Basecamp. And I think we linked to Basecamp right here because that's where everything is. That way everything links to each other. So if you ever want, you can see here's all the different people that we have that are doing different things. And you can see that there's different message boards where we're working on different things. Like someone's working on SEO. He's found things that are broken and he's fixing them. You'll see there's lots of things that he's been doing. And you can see our traffic's been increasing and all that. But every one of these threads, we can see there's things that are happening. Like here, he said, look, I found pages that are 404, which means that there's nothing showing up. And he's fixed them. He's fixed them, right? Now they work, right? And then he created links. So we're working on it. And there's I think the thing with the social media PR thing, the young adult thing is they think it's like the glamour. It's 95% just grinding through lots of mundane tasks. It's assigning it out to different people. It's just the factory. Inside the factory, you look at any factory, it's making hot dogs. It's, you don't want to see how the sausage is being made, but that's what I'm saying, that we're now starting to rank. There you go. Any questions about the content factory?
So that media kit of myself, where do I access that? That's here on Basecamp too?
It's all in Basecamp. But all of the key items should be linked in the project overview, as well as in this content library. And in the content library, we're adding explanations of what the different pieces are. So that whether it's the client or a particular worker, because we've got a lot of workers, anybody can always go back to the documentation of how to do stuff. Even I forget what some of the steps are, right? Like I forgot what all the steps were to claim a knowledge panel.